Hi, guys. Welcome to another bonus episode. I am Kimberly, your host. You guys already know me from this fat girl life, from The Rope of Hope, and from Big Beautiful Badasses. But these episodes are a little different. As so many of you already know, June is Pride Month, and I am an ally. I firmly believe that love is love, and we all have the right to love who we choose and to be loved. And that is why I am lending my support and my love with these episodes. This is how I know how to do it. So tonight I am joined by Xiaoyi. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You did.
Yay! And she is going to share her story with us. But before we go into your story, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
I'm Xiaoyi. I live in Colorado Springs with my husband, dragon, and cats. I also have a couple roommates. I am a coach, speaker, and educator focusing on self-improvement, relationships, polyamory, LGBTQ awareness and integration, and also some BDSM stuff.
I love that you are from Colorado Springs. What 719? That's where I am too. We both live in different parts of the Springs, I think. But yeah, we're both here in the Springs. So um, why don't we go ahead and I'm just gonna let you take the ball and roll with it and share your story.
Wonderful. I grew up in a very conservative household. My parents were very Catholic. And as I was growing up, I realized I am female, but I'm also not female. My pronouns are actually she, they, and that has been a fairly recent thing that I've been able to actually state clearly. There's a lot of times, especially when you grow up in a repressing culture, that your identity grows over time and changes. And stepping into she, they is definitely feeling much more authentic to me than just being she, her. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't make up hair. I'm still very, very, very much a femme. And that was honestly the first identity I felt called to. But I didn't realize I could be. Growing up, when I did, in my very tiny little box, all I knew about the AIDS crisis even was the joke we used to do on the playgrounds of how do you spell AIDS? Are you certain? So I had no clue what was going on then. And I didn't realize that I had the option to love people who were male. My job was to grow up, get married, produce grandbabies. I did one of those. I have gotten married. There are no grandbabies. There will not be grandbabies for me. My sisters took care of that, thank goodness. But when I was hitting my late teens, I was able to drive, but I don't remember exactly when. One of our dear friends who was always welcome in our home went through a divorce. And during the divorce, it came out that he was bisexual. And I went, okay, great. He likes guys too. Good on him. And then my parents decided he was no longer welcome in our house and that we should not go over to his place. It was strongly encouraged that I not go over. This guy had been like a brother to me for 10 or more years at this point in my life. And I ignored my parents. And that was the first time I realized that not only were there options, but if people found out, there could be consequences. And it took me years to be able to embrace that I was queer. Trigger warning on rape. I thought my first sexual experience was being raped when I was 18 by a man who was twice my age. I thought that was my first true sexual experience because I'd only been taught tab A, slot B, which is so surface for the sex options that are out there. And it hurt, and it left a lot of scarring in me and a lot of not wanting to deal with it. Between the parents and that, I went to therapy finally, which I probably should have been in much earlier in my life, honestly, though I think my parents would not have liked the outcome. in there, I realized that I called it omnisensual because my brain still hadn't wrapped around how women could have sex with other women. So I was omnisensual because I was sensual with them. I still didn't have the words. And when I came out that way, my parents looked at me and said, "You're no longer welcome in our home either." And I went, "You suck." Luckily, I was at an age where I could move out on my own. I actually was living on my own, and they just disowned me right then and there. My sisters didn't. My sisters stayed with me through that, and so grateful for them. And then there was my Graham. Graham lives in Illinois, and she is sometimes very, very prim and proper. So calling her was terrifying for me. And I called her up and I told her, "Hey, I'm not straight. Thought you should know." And the other end of the line said, "So?" And I died a little inside. I'm like, So do you think that changes anything about how I feel about you? Well, I don't know, Graham. And she finally, I think she finally realized I really needed to hear it. And she's like, "It changes nothing, sweetheart. You're still my granddaughter. You're still amazing. I love you." And she was the first one outside of the now husband dragon that I'm married to who openly accepted the fact that I was into many genders and would have relationships with many genders. I am polyamorous. And so it's a way to have ethical non-monogamy and be able to be sexual with multiple partners in a manner that isn't cheating. And I'm delighted that that is a part of my life because I have wonderful people with inside genitalia and outside genitalia as partners. And it's beautiful to get to share that. The most healing thing I learned, and it dawned on me in a therapy session about 2 years ago, is my first sexual experience wasn't when I was 18. It was actually in 6th grade when another girl and I would get together and we'd play doctor. And we were exploring each other and enjoying each other. And yes, I realize that's kind of young, but it's also when the hormones kick in, and a lot of people do some style of exploration at that time. And I realized I did everything with her that I do with my girlfriends now. So my first sexual experience was actually with a woman and completely consensual instead of the ugliness that I thought it was. And that helped heal me so much inside, knowing that my first was chosen and deliberate and consensual and enjoyable. I've had many people try and talk me out of it, that having multiple partners is wrong, that dating a guy and a gal is wrong. And it sucked. It sucked a lot. In 2015, I had at least one friend every month commit suicide. And the ones who did leave notes mentioned they didn't think they'd be accepted for who and what they were, usually around their sexuality. And it broke my heart. I still get emotional about it now. I mean, it's a big deal. So in 2016, in January, there was a contest in Phoenix, Arizona for bootblacks. And what bootblacks are, we're people who care for leather while people wear it. So kind of like a shoe shine, but also kind of like a bartender where you talk to them and get that, or the beauty parlor sort of thing where they care for who you are as well. And I entered that contest and I won, which gave me a platform. And I started traveling and teaching. And before I'd run for that contest, my partner and I sat down and we had to discuss, if I win this, I'm going to go to places and I'm going to teach about gender differences, gender identity, about who and what I am, about genitalia doesn't equal gender, and about how to be more inclusive on forms even, in medical settings, I want to be completely out. And we had to sit down and discuss the pros and cons because we don't have children. So I don't have to worry about losing my children. I work for myself, so I didn't have to worry about getting fired. His company did have a morality clause in it, so they could have chosen, by learning that he lives with somebody who is what I am, as fabulous as that is, he could have lost his job. And he told me, if I do, it's worth it. I don't want to work for somebody who would do that anyways. And luckily, he did not lose his job there. So that turned out really positive. But we had to go through and discuss all these different things just so I could stand up and be authentic and be a voice and let people know you're not alone. Even if you're hiding in the closet still, you're not alone. I've been there. It's a scary place and it's a scary world outside, and you're still valid and you're still seen. And teaching all these different places what to do if a partner, a friend, a child comes out to you, either as transgender or as gay or lesbian, bisexual. Everybody wants to erase the bisexuals, but we're here. And from then on, I just kept going and being out and talking and teaching. I have a Patreon where I do free classes every month so that people can learn how to be inclusive and how to embrace the humanity in each one of us. And it's not an easy journey. My family for a while would start reintegrating me into the family around Thanksgiving and then disowning me by Valentine's Day so that we could have the family get together with the family picture. And I had to decide, is that something I want to go to, knowing that in X many months they're going to disown me and not talk to me again? My uncle has told me point blank, I'm going to hell. I'm not welcome in his home, and he can't talk to me unless it happens to be a family gathering where we meet in passing, because his beliefs tell him I should be stoned at the city gates. And he's the godparent to one of my nieces, which I love my nieces. They are so amazing, so wonderful, and a lot closer to who and what I am than the straight their mom is. And I had permission to be who I was as authentically as possible around them their entire lives. And I still remember when my niece was about 7, she came up to me and she said, Nana, that's what my family calls me, Nana, you like girls, right? Yes. Is it fun dating girls? Yeah, it is. Do you like it? Well, I find it really great, actually. Thanks for asking. And she finally said, okay, cool, and wandered off. Years later, her first dating person was a transgendered girl. And that transgender girl and her made such an adorable couple, and they were so wonderful together. And she was able to just openly embrace this and have it be who and what she was. And oh, I wish so much that my parents had been as accepting and open as hers was. And there were times my sister would call me up and, oh my God, Xiaoyi, tell me what this means, because I am so lost. Because the alphabet soup can get confusing. I won't lie. We've got a long list of people who are included in it these days. But yeah, that's how I ended up where I am now. And when you were reaching out for people to share their pride stories, I was delighted to share mine because I did come from a very strict environment. Sundays were for church and eating together, and that was about it. And even at my birth mom's funeral, instead of using the name that is me, I have legally changed my name from my birth name. The priest chose instead to use my birth name every time he referred to me. And my dad was furious because both my mom and dad had finally accepted my name change. One of our last interactions, because she was dying of cancer and she decided to start mending fences. One of our very last interactions with her and I was her correcting herself when she tried calling me my birth name and instead calling me by Xiaoyi, which is who I am now. And it was, I really wish it didn't take her dying to get to the point where she could accept me like that. But I'm also really, really glad that I have that one amazing memory of her trying to help counter all the other ones I had of her refusing to answer the phone or admit that I exist. So that's the short version of my story. I know there's a lot there.
Well, first, let me start by saying that I'm so sorry that you went some of the hurts that you went through. And if I, as a mom, could erase those for you, I would. And so the mom heart in me breaks right now. So I am so sorry that you went through that. You kind of touched on the alphabet soup.
Yes.
As you know, I've heard it alphabet soup, alphabet mafia. I prefer the term alphabet mafia. I love that term.
I haven't heard that one yet. I like it though. I think I'll adopt it.
Alphabet mafia. It's a TikTok term. That's where I learned it.
Got it.
And I think, you know, people know some of the basics. L, lesbian. G, gay. B, bi, trans. Define queer. Because there are a lot of people that don't know specifically what queer means. Now, I've had it explained to me in a very easy to understand way, but I would love for you to define it.
When we're talking about personal identity terms like queer, I am a queer woman, there's going to be some differences in the definitions because it's different for all of us as our identities. I can't speak for all queer people, but in general, if you are queer, you are identifying as part of the alphabet mafia. Somewhere in there you fit. And commonly it's somewhere in there you fit and it's not quite lesbian or not quite gay. Pansexual falls into the queer umbrella as well. It's in a lot of ways, our sexuality and our gender are not what society as a whole recognizes and accepts. And that is the most basic definition of the term queer that I can share.
That kind of goes along with the definition that I had been given previously of queer / questioning, of still, you know, kind of piecing it all together in this beautiful tapestry. Would that be accurate?
It certainly is for me. For me, being queer gives me the flexibility to explore things. The first time I learned that there were people who were not the gender they were assigned at birth, I used to win bar drinks off of guessing someone's gender, mostly because I cheated and I went up to them and asked. And those wonderful people were willing to, and this was a long time ago, I don't do that now, I promise. They were kind enough to actually have conversations with me about, yeah, I'm a woman and I spent this much on my boobs. I'm like, wow, those are really impressive. Tell me more. And that's how I started learning about the options that were out there and the fact that I could explore my gender. Now, at the time, it was pretty much you are either girl or boy. There wasn't another option in the little box I grew up in that I was slowly opening and learning. I tried it. I am definitely not a man. I am not male. I did the exploration and no. But as I have grown and understood, and the language and terminology we have to talk about our gender grows, I can say that I am gender fluid, which means I flow a little bit between female and not female, but not male. So queer lets me do that. Queer lets me flow back and forth and continue exploring my gender. I didn't realize that I did that until some of my very queer friends who live in the they, them spectrum said, you come into Arizona a lot. Have you thought about this? Have you looked at this? And then I had to ask them, okay, well, what does they them mean to you? And then figure out what it meant to me to see if it did fit. And it does. And being queer means you're part of the alphabet soup, even if you don't know where you are, and that you can switch around. Or if you know exactly what you are, you can still be queer, just as is. And it's completely valid. It is a very encompassing and welcoming term, and I love it.
So, through your entire journey, what has been the absolute, if you could only pick one moment, best moment? I know I make some of these questions difficult.
There have been several that follow a similar pattern in my life that are the best moments. And it's when a queerling, someone who's just starting to question, just starting to look at it. I call them queerlings because they're still learning. I mean, technically I'm still learning, but queerlings, it's kind of like ducklings. They're cute and adorable. And they come up to me and they ask if we can talk. And then they pour out their life story and how they want to be able to be whatever they are. And they're scared, but that somehow what I've done, whether it was teaching a class, being somewhere, and being loud, doing interviews, whatever it was, they come up to me and that thing you said, that thing right there, I can do that. That means I can be me, at least this little bit more than I could before. And every time this happens, it is just so wonderful and so beautiful, because for that moment, I get to see them. They're opening their entire soul to me. And I get to validate, yes, you are valid, you are real, you are loved for who and what you are. And every time that happens, every single one of them is the best moment for me. Because it means it's working. I'm helping people stay here. I'm helping people feel loved and accepted and not choose to leave the world. So that for me is always the, oh goodness, I should have brought tissues.
I ugly cry constantly, honey. You're good. You're good.
But yeah, when they do that, and when I say queerling, it doesn't necessarily mean a youngin'. I've had a 60-year-old come up to me and go, that right there, I never realized I could do that, but I've always wanted to, and I'm gonna from here on out. It's never too late to be yourself. And and I'm glad it's a little safer now to be yourself than it used to be. I mean, it's still not completely safe, especially for trans women of color. It is very not safe. And it takes courage to be yourself. It takes courage to be vulnerable. Ask Brene Brown. She makes a living telling people about it. I think every queer person alive can look at her and go, well, duh, it takes courage to be authentic.
So, knowing everything you've gone through, loving yourself as you are now, if you could go back and have a conversation with yourself before you knew, when you just started opening that little Pandora's box of beauty, what would you tell yourself?
Follow your heart, ignore the rest. Just follow your heart, girl. Follow the heart and everything else will follow. Don't try being a people pleaser. Just follow your heart.
I love that. I love that.
It was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, and it took almost 12 years of therapy to get it through my thick skull.
Honey, I'm 45. And it took me many, many years to learn that same lesson as a straight white woman. I mean, I don't think sexuality, your race, gender, anything has to do with that lesson. That's a lesson for the ages.
It's a lesson for everyone, yeah.
Xiaoyi, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening, for bearing your soul the way you did, for sharing so much. Okay, now it's my turn to thank you. I am every guest that I've had on here has touched me in a different way. And I feel so blessed that you came on here and shared your beautiful story with us.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And there's one thing I would like to say before we close, if that's all right.
Okay.
And to all of you who see this, all of you who watch this, you're not alone. No matter how bad it gets, you are not alone. Reach out. Reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. My name's spelled on the screen right there. Go for it. Get it. Reach out to someone. Reach out to me. Reach out to a specialist. Reach out to a hotline. Because no matter how crappy and bad it is right now, it will get better. And we can help you find a way to live your life as you. So please, don't give up. Reach out.
Well, and Xiaoyi, please go into the comments and put your contact information for anybody who needs that. You guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am actually going to be on here tomorrow night with another bonus episode of a young trans woman from Denver. And Bella is amazing. I absolutely love her. And she will be coming on the show tomorrow night.
She is amazing. So wonderful. I'm glad you got her.
Yes, I love Bella. Love her, love her, love her. So definitely tune in tomorrow night, same time, and you guys can meet Bella, and she's going to share her story, her experience. You guys, these episodes are not easy. They take their toll emotionally on me. I'm going to admit it. But it takes work to do this. I am not even going to lie. You guys, if you want to be a listener sponsor, it is super, super easy. All you have to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. By being a listener sponsor, you will have access to sponsor only content. You will have access to bonus episodes like this. You'll know what's happening before anybody else. And you'll have input on some of the content that I put out there. So definitely buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. My closing thought for all of you, again, love is love. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how you identify. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care about any of it. You deserve to be loved for who you are. And I love you. You guys have an amazing night. My little heart's messed up because I'm at an angle. I will see you tomorrow night, guys.